football right now.
With the Drive Guys turning our attention back to the National Football League. Nice enough to join us, CEO of the Football Scientist, fantasy football analyst for The Athletic, Casey Joyner, with us. Casey, thanks so much for your time. We've been talking about Brandon Aiyuk. Let me just ask you, where do you think he ends up? And with which team, the 49ers or the Steelers, is he the more desirable fantasy option?
He's the more desirable fantasy option with the 49ers because he's got a better play caller. I love Arthur Schmidt as a play caller, but I want him as a play caller if I'm going to run the football. If I'm a running back, that's what I want there. I still think he's going to be with the Niners because, this is a Super Bowl year for them. This is one of the favorites. And if you trade him away and you've got that downgraded receiver, it just harms your chances. I think they find a way to make it work, and he stays there.
Hey, Casey, Kyle Draper here. Yeah, you like that, right? All signs point to, Aiyuk, you should stay here in San Francisco. Casey, I'm looking at some of your work there with The Athletic, some of the things you wrote about. As we get ready for the fantasy football season and the drafts coming up, give me some, overvalued players, some big-name players that might not pan out this season.
Guys to avoid.
Guys to avoid, some of them big-name guys.
The thing is, when I talk about guys to avoid, it's the guys to avoid at their current draft position. In other words, look, if a player falls, well below where you're supposed to, like if you found Patrick Mahomes in round 5, you never would. But if you did, of course you'd still draft him. But guys who I don't like as much, I don't like C.J. Stroud. He's going in rounds 4 or 5. I think he should be in round 6 because he had an outlier year in some downfield metrics, and I don't think when you ever see an outlier year, something that's really big, numbers are really huge, they tend to drop back down to normal, and I think that'll happen. And Stephon Diggs, supposed to be a great addition, he was 67th in PPR points per game on passes thrown at the vertical level. That's 11 or more yards downfield. I don't think he's as big of an upgrade for them on downfield passes as people think. So I think Stroud's still a good starter. I'm just not paying a 4th-round pick for him.
Casey Joyner with us, CEO of the Football Scientist. How about guys that, in your view, underperformed last year, Casey, and are due to have bounce-back years this year that we need to keep an eye
on? Some bounce-back candidates would be, I think Bijan Robinson. I've had this ongoing conversation with a buddy of mine I'm a fantasy league with, and I told him to pick Bijan last year, and he said, I got burned by that pick. It's like, well, yeah, but Bijan kind of got used as what I call a lead back, which is where you get most of the carries, but they were giving a bunch of carries to Tyler Algier. Bijan Robinson this yeyear, they're talking about we're going to give him all the carries, we're going to give him any receptions. They're only going to be 4 or 5 players, running backs, who are going to get 300-plus touches in the season. And I think he could get 350 and lead the league in touches. If he does that, where he's going in drafts, I think you could get him to be the number 1 overall pick. I can make an easy case for that. TMC's going 1. I can make a case for Bijan. If I'm catching him at 3 or 4, don't worry about last year like my buddy is. Don't worry about last year. Say, this is the guy you want to take as your top pick.
Hope you're taking notes on this, Kyle.
Yeah, I got, I'm in a couple of leagues here, and I'm trying to figure out. We have not had our draft position scheduled yet. But, Casey, I remember there was a day when, there used to be a run of running backs, if you will, at the top of draft boards. Is that still the case? Is running back still the most pressing, urgent need that a coach or a GM must go after early in a fantasy draft?
In most cases, that's what people are wanting to do now. The thing is, the running back position will probably take up 8 out of 12 positions of the fantasy league. And the thing is, I've got this rating system in my draft guide where players, if they're blue-rated players, that means they're elite players. Green-rated is a good starter. Blue-rated is an elite player. There's only 12 blue-rated running backs. So you got to get in. If you could grab 2 in the round 1 and turn to round 2, you'd be in great shape. But you kind of got to get in there quick because they're going to falter off. And wide receivers, there are 16 blue-rated wide receivers. So there's 14 blue-rated wide receivers. You've just got more depth at wide receiver than you do at running back. And there's more quality depth in green-rated too, a lot more. So I think it's a matter of waiting for wide receivers. Tight ends, you just got the top 2. You've got, Laporta and Kelsey, and that's really just a drop off there. And quarterbacks, got 5 blue-rated quarterbacks. Don't mind getting any one of those 5. And then I got, 7 green-rated quarterbacks. Like to get the one of the blue-rated. If you can't, just wait till as long as you can before you get one of those green-rated quarterbacks.
Casey, you go to the bookstore, if you can still find one, and all the magazine, there's fantasy football guides, but they come out like 4th of July. So I don't know how useful they are. So tell me how and where I can get the Football Scientist Draft Guide.
My draft guide is available at thefootballscientist.com. I do update it throughout the preseason. I just sent out on Monday the updated charts there's some charts. In fact, when you get my draft guide, you don't just get the draft guide, which has over 50,000 words, over 200 player write-ups, really deep dive stuff. But you also get these Excel charts to go along with it. And what most of my subscribers do is they'll take those charts, they'll either use them in during the draft, or they've got people who actually will like, okay, I'm going to change the rankings so this they can customize the rankings accordingly. So you go to thefootballscientist.com, you can get all of this, and so that's the score.
All right, Casey Joyner of The Athletic. Yeah, go out there and get it. Casey, let's talk about some of the Niners players. Where you got Brock Purdy on the quarterback rankings?
I got him 7th, and I was so tempted to rank him higher than that. He's the second-rated, green-rated quarterback. Thing is, he's fantastic if you look at him on a per-play basis. He's just phenomenal, and I think there's going to be, obviously, again, if you get elite numbers, you're going to kind of drop off from that on a per-play pace. But I'm like, wow, they're going to probably throw the ball more, especially if they keep Aiyuk. So it's like kind of a trade-off there. I could have easily made him a top 5 quarterback. I kind of just played it a little bit safe and said, okay, just make sure I keep him right around there. But man, if I'm getting him as a 7th-rated quarterback, I have zero problem having him as my starter. And plus, by the way, he's going. You can get him around 7 or 8 out of all those blue and green-rated starters. There's only like 2 guys in those blue and green quarterbacks who go later than him typically in drafts. I think he's incredibly undervalued.
Look, you could get Bijan Robinson and Brock Purdy easy already, and you're on your way.
On your way, right? That's your 1-2 combo there.
Casey Joyner with us. This may be a silly question, but we had a guy who used to work here, used to be our boss, great guy, Brian Gebhardt, and he's a big fantasy player, and he told us one time that he was in 12 fantasy leagues. I'm just wondering, what's the most leagues you've ever heard, Casey, of one guy being in, or maybe the most you've ever been in yourself?
Bob Harris or Mike Dempsey probably had to be in the most. They're in dozens of leagues. In fact, I'm in a fantasy league. I got to tell you about this. In fantasy league, these guys are football diehards, and actually Bob is a football guy now. But this is a league. It's 32 teams, and we have like 40 players on our teams. You're getting like the bottom rung. Like if you're thinking or a third string, fourth string, no, you're getting fifth string running backs to back up and hope you're getting in there.
What kind of league is that? That doesn't sound fun now, KC. What?
It is incredibly competitive. The thing is, you can take every player in the league can be on 2 teams because we've got 32 teams, and it's like tiered. You got to be in the upper tiers of the first 16 and the bottom tiers, lower 16 things. Oh, it's incredibly. It's an extremely difficult league. Mike Dempsey came up with it, and it is the most. It's like I made the playoffs in the league twice in 3 years, so I'm glad to do it. But it is you better put in your work in that league.
You have to have a PhD just to be able to know, did I win or not?
Right. That's unbelievable. Casey Joyner joining us of The Athletic, talking fantasy football. What are some of the new guys who have changed teams? Saquon Barkley, that might make some noise this fantasy season.
I'm big on the Saquon Barkley bandwagon. I've got him 4th on my overall list. I've easily rated him higher. Here's the thing. Now, the Eagles made the Super Bowl a couple years ago because they went run heavy. And then last year, they just couldn't help themselves. They went pass heavy. And I think they said, we got to get Barkley. But I'll tell you what, getting Kellen Moore as the offensive coordinator, I did some run game breakdowns this past year. And everybody talks about McCarthy was like, he passes too much. He didn't want the ball. Oh, my gosh, the in-game corrections he makes, he is a genius at in-game corrections as far as for the running game, as far as figuring out weaknesses on defenses. I think they're going to use Barkley left and right. He'll be one of those 300-touch guys this season, and I just think it wouldn't surprise me if he ended up number 1 overall in scoring. But, again, he's going usually round 1, even round 2 you can get him. I think he's going to be one of the biggest utilized backs in the league.
One of my favorite moments from ever being in a fantasy draft, it was a baseball fantasy league, and with this guy's first pick, and this was like late 90s, this guy with his first pick, he goes, I'm taking Joe Randa. And we all go, Joe Randa, what's wrong with you? And he goes, it's a sleeper pick. So it's like, I don't think you know what that means. My question, JC, who is your top quarterback sleeper for this year?
top quarterback sleeper. That is insane, that story.
It's true. It's true.
I probably already gave it away in the sense that Purdy, where he is, if not Purdy, Jordan Love, I mean, you can get him around 5 or 6. I've got him ranked as the 5th-rated quarterback. I love his the matchup points I've got, and I've got what's called fireworks points. There's a category I have that says how many shootouts you're going to get in a given season. He's got 88 out of 100 on that, and 100 being the best. I think we get 10. And by the way, Green Bay has more quality wide receiver depth. If you go from top to bottom of their depth chart, easily the best team in the league as far in that category. They can throw Watson. There are other guys. Christian Watson's an impact player. Maybe he gets better because of that what he had done this offseason at the University of Wisconsin. But, I mean, there's 4 guys who are equally as good as him on a per-play basis, and plus get a great play call on the floor. So, yeah, I think Jordan Love's going to be top 5 QB this year.
Is Kyler Murray a guy you'd consider maybe a potential sleeper?
Yeah. Yep. I do something called upside, downside, and overall grades in my draft guide. And he is 10th overall, but he ranks 7th in upside, and he's on the borderline of ranking even higher than that. The only thing that gets me with him is they've got a little bit of the quality of depth. If McBride or Harrison gets hurt, I don't like the backup behind them. It's probably why I rated Love higher. But if those guys all stay healthy and the way he runs the ball and things, and we're creative in their play calling, yeah, would not surprise. So he's one of the guys we're going to wait until round 6 or 7 to go drafting quarterbacks. He's a good guy to wait for.
Casey Joyner joining us. Hey, Casey, I like the current crop of rookie quarterbacks. I'm a big Caleb Williams fan. Which rookie QB should we keep an eye on and maybe draft with, maybe some middle to late round options there?
Yeah, I'm with you on Williams. And the thing I really like about Williams, 2 things I like about Williams. One, I mentioned that matchup point. That measures basically how good the defensive coverage is going to be. And I do it on like a cornerback, safety by individual player list. He ranks 100 out of 100 in Chicago's most favorable pass defense schedule. And now they've got Odunze, they've got Keenan Allen, who's 231 pounds. He's going to be obviously a possession guy. And they also have DJ Moore. They have Cole. I mean, they've got guys who catch back. The running back can catch the ball too. Wouldn't be surprised if he throws the ball a ton and he can run the ball. I'm looking at it going, boy, I wouldn't be shocked if he makes it up to the upside, to a top 10 ranking overall points. The only thing that bothers me is that Chicago has low fireworks points. I don't think they get on a shootout this year. And that's kind of it's like 10% of the factor. So it's that's like the only ceiling for him is if Chicago keeps things low scoring.
KC Joyner, make sure you check out the Football Scientist Draft Guide. You want to win this year. How serious are you? You should check it out. KC, we appreciate your time very much. We hope to talk to you again very soon.
Sounds great. Thanks, guys.
All right, KC.
When we come right back, a look at the